Good morning and welcome to another Gribbly's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour. That time each week when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity while answering all of its questions. And if you are a piece of humanity with a question for me, leave it in the comments down below. Whatever you want to ask. Anything. Are there things you wonder about? Are there things that keep you awake at night? You can ask me. You can trust your boy Gribbs. Anyway, if you got one of these questions, leave it in the comments down below using the hashtag AskGribbs, and I will answer any question. Now, it's been a week. When last we talked, I was standing in the river fishing, and then everything went to shit. And you got to be careful with this stuff. You got to count your blessings. All right, let's just take a minute and count our blessings. You hear that? Literal crickets. No, obviously I'm very blessed. I'm incredibly privileged, and I try to keep that in mind when I'm bitching about humanity, which seems to be my lot in life. That's what people want from me. I don't know why you guys want this. Do you live vicariously through me? Are there people, are you guys, you're not able to bitch? You're in, like, what if you're all priests? Or you're like CEOs or something, and you're in a position of leadership, and you don't want to be perceived to be resentful and bitter. I understand. I get it. So I am your outlet. You can hear me bitch, and that sort of makes you feel like you've been heard. Okay. Whatever. I'm just glad you're here. I'm just glad to hang out with you. It's a nice day. It's we're having that the extended warmth through the end of October this year. Good fishing time. I'm excited about that, although I'll probably never see the river again given all the work I have to do. That's what I want to talk about this week. Hard work and Murphy's Law, right? I think that these two things, they sort of feed on each other. I was listening to the Imp and Skiz podcast. These are Minecraft YouTubers. And they were talking about hard work, and Skiz told this amazing story about how when he was a kid, he wanted to impress. He had two uncles that both did really physical labor, and he needed to earn money for a band trip when he was a teenager, and so he wanted to impress his uncles while also being like, hey, can you pay me for a day's labor so I can earn some money? But really, it was about it was about showing his uncles, hey, like, I can work hard, like I'm a good guy, I've got a good work ethic. And with one of his uncles, it went great. And so his uncle recommended him to the other uncle, and he showed up at a construction site to work for the other uncle and had severe gastrointestinal distress. This is one of the things that gets me in my job, and we'll come back to it because there are certain things you just can't work through, right? Like, I have worked through the flu. I have worked through many colds. I've worked through sprained ankles. You can't work through gastrointestinal distress. And so when Skiz was telling this story, he was talking about how he was too embarrassed to say, hey, I've got to go behind the trailer in the woods because they were on a construction site. There's no bathrooms. I got to go out here and shit my brains out for a minute, and then I'll come back and try to work. But he was, talking in great detail about the rigors of this situation, but he ended up being a terrible worker that day, and his uncle, he always worried that his uncle just thought that he was, a bad worker, when in fact he was really trying to do his best, but he was effectively disabled by what was happening in his guts. Hard work is not enough. Hard work, you also have to have the privilege and the luck to actually show up to the job. We've all had situations where I really want to go, I really want to go do a good job. I want to impress the people that are paying me, my clients, my bosses, whatever, and then your car breaks down. My wife got her first real job. She was going to be an administrative assistant in a medical environment, and she was walking out the door I went to the door with her. We were not married at the time, but we were living together. I went to the door with her, and she was all dressed up in a professional outfit that she had gone out and bought for the first day at this job. And it actually wasn't her first real job, but it was a big step up for her, and she was at that job for many years. First day, she's so kiss her goodbye, here's your lunch, whatever, I don't remember, but she walks down the stairs and trips and sprains her ankle right there in the front yard. So first day of work, she's like an hour late. because she had to deal with a sprained ankle, and then she's limping around, can't stand up, that sort of thing. It's just bad luck. It's just bad luck, and there's a lot of bad luck in life. You guys hear these crickets? It's insane. It's the middle of the day. They're driving me nuts. They just won't shut up. Sorry, I'm gonna have to buy a lav mic. I set myself a goal of doing all of this stuff without spending any actual money, like literally not a dime, because I already have all the gear, but I never shoot video in my job, so I don't have any microphones. So I'm gonna have to buy a lav mic so that I don't get these crickets in this damn garage. I am smoking an old worn out Missouri Meerschaum Legend corncob pipe, and in it, I am smoking some tobacco. We'll keep it a secret for now. But I did put a shiny new stem on it. See, you can see right through there. It's not even all, caked with nicotine and carcinogens and stuff. So I volunteer for a conservation organization because that's my whole thing. I like to get out in the woods, right, and conserve things. And it is, when you volunteer, when you're creative and you volunteer for an organization, they're going to hand you, like when you first start, they're going to hand you the easiest, lowest hanging fruit stuff. That doesn't interest me, but I did it, right? You go and you do the things that maybe they're not the most fun things, but what you're doing is you're proving to these folks that even though it's volunteer, right? Even though I'm not getting paid for this, you gotta jump through some hoops and prove that they can trust you with the big stuff. And my motive for doing this is, number one, to help out and to volunteer, but also I want access to these places that they're conserving, because that fits in with the work, the artistic work that I'm doing as well. So I've been working for them for a year now. We've done a bunch of different stuff, and finally they call me up and they're like, hey, we've bought this piece of land, we're gonna conserve it. There's a waterfall on the piece of land that no one has access to. Secret waterfall. There's not even a trail to the waterfall. You're gonna have to bushwhack through the woods. There's like 200 meters of elevation. It's like they were like, you don't have to do this. We're not paying you. This is volunteer work. You don't have to go out there and get lost. And I'm like, no. I got it. We're gonna do it. I did elect to bring someone with me on this shoot. It was rigorous enough that I wanted someone there in case something went wrong. And so I coordinate with the property owner. I coordinate with the organization. I coordinate with my partner who's going to go out there with me. And then as I'm packing up, the day finally arrives. We're going to go out there. We got X amount of daylight left. And I pick up my tripod, which is integral to every photo I shoot. I pick it up and the tripod head just comes right off in my hand. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This tripod has lasted 2 years through hard use, and now, today is the day it falls apart. So literally, as my partner is pulling up outside my house, and I'm not paying him. I'm wrapping electrical tape around the tripod, and I've got a rubber mallet, and I'm trying to hammer the head back into the column just to get through the day. This is what life is like in a field that revolves around technology. I'm so envious of writers. Les Brady out there. He's a writer and an editor, and people go to him to help them with their writing. Les, I envy you, because even there's a power outage. There's a Carrington level event, solar storm, civilization falls. There's never going to be electricity in anybody's lifetimes ever again. Les can light a candle and keep writing on a piece of paper. Cool. Okay, get through that. Get through my last scheduled wedding of the year. Everything's cool. And then a friend of mine, they're in a bind, right? Their photographer had to pull out of their wedding last minute, like 5 days before the wedding. The photographer went into preterm labor. Yeah, obviously you can't shoot a wedding when you're in preterm labor. It's almost as bad as gastrointestinal distress. Cool, okay, gonna be easy, doing some folks a favor. I'm feeling good, I'm there to save the day. We get through the ceremony, everybody's having a good time. Beautiful, taking pictures of the formals, everybody looks great, and then the shutter fails in one of my cameras. One of the cameras that I bought last year, one of the cameras that is rated to 200,000 actuations on the shutter. It has 38,000 This is like your car dying with 15,000 miles on it. There is no law but Murphy's Law. We made it through the shoot. They didn't even know that my shutter failed, that we made it through the shoot because I'm a paranoid son of a bitch and I have backups to my backups and I plan for stuff like this, but it's never happened before. These cameras are not supposed to fail. Fine, cool, whatever. I got one more shoot planned. It's planned for this morning, actually. When this video comes out, I will be at the shoot. It's going to be remote. It's going to be high stakes. I'm going to be taking pictures of a surprise proposal. Once in a lifetime event, right? 4 days before this happens, I go and I pick up my kid. I'm sitting in the kid picker-upper line, right? And instead of the usual like lady that escorts my child out of the school, his teacher comes out to escort her. I'm like, oh shit. What happened? You know, was he caught smoking cigarettes in the locker room or what? No. She comes out and she's like, I just want to let you know that the kid that sits next to your kid started throwing up all over the show about half an hour ago. Okay. Maybe it was like, you know, bad salmon. Maybe this third grader got some sushi at lunch yesterday that isn't good. No. The kid has a sibling, and that sibling has been out all week with this horrible gastro bug. She's like, I just want to let you know. You know, just as a he didn't throw up on your kid exactly, but they hang out together all day. They've been like smushed together all day. And so I bend down and I look at my kid in the eye. I'm like, hey, are you okay? Because you need to be okay, because you're going to have to walk home, because you're not getting in my car. Cool, fine, whatever. It's just a part of parenthood. We buckle him up. We get in the car. I go around to the driver's seat. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, I got to plan an extra stop. We got to go to the store. We got to make sure we're stocked up on Gatorade and Ritz crackers, and I got to get a ticket to whatever country has medically assisted euthanasia, because I don't want to live through this. And I'm doing all this in my head, and I put my key in the ignition, and nothing. Car doesn't start. The battery is dead. What? I just started the car. Like, I literally just, like, not 10 minutes ago, got in the car, it started fine. I drove to the school to pick him up. Now the car doesn't start? No problem. This is why we are a 2-car household. I will call my wife. She will come jump the car. No, that's right. I got up early so that I could give my wife a ride into work because her car is in the shop. It's okay. We made it home. Everything is fine. Now, kiddo did freak out because he'd never experienced a car doing anything but just working properly. That must be nice, right? When you're so young that your parents absorb the entropy of the world, that you don't have to ever think about, like, what if the car just doesn't start? That's not your problem when you're 8 years old. It was my problem yesterday. Anyway, so we were fine. Everything's fine. But it starts to build up in your head of like, what if I can't go to this thing because I'm puking? What if I'm puking and the car won't start? What if I go to the thing, get sick way out somewhere, I'm puking and pooping in front of my clients, and out of embarrassment, I'm just like, no, I can't, and I run back to my car and it won't start. What if, and I have this thing where, you know, I have obsessive compulsive disorder. And so one of the things that you learn is, if you're asking yourself what if questions, that's OCD. Right, OCD is full of what if questions, and so yeah, you need to plan for contingencies, but like after a certain point, the what ifs are no longer helpful. But look at what just happened. What if? Commiserate with me. Tell me in the comments below. Tell me what keeps you up at night. Tell me the what ifs that bother you. Like, what if this? What if that? Tell me the things that like you can only insure against so much, right? Like, and eventually you have to accept some level of anxiety, except that we never actually do, right? We're never okay with it. We never just stop worrying. There's always something. There's always a what if. What's your what if? Tell me down below. And the cruel twist is that the hard work, which you think of as an asset, it actually becomes a liability, because if you're invested in what you do, if you're one of those people that you're doing what you love. I love how they say, you know, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That is such bullshit. You're gonna work, if you're doing what you love, that means that you're trying to get paid for something that is enjoyable. Most people get paid at work because what they're doing is not enjoyable. That's why you have to pay them to do it. So if you're one of the lucky few, and like me, you're doing what you love for a living, you're actually gonna work twice as hard as anybody else. And the thing is, and this is one of the things that I took from the Imp and Skiz podcast. Skiz said, if you're doing what you love, you have no interest in second place, right? And it's not a competition with other people. It's a competition against yourself. You are gonna do the best you can possibly do because it's what you love and it's your identity. and how good you are at it means everything to you. So you're gonna put all this hard work in it, and that might just disappear. It might turn to vapor because you got sick or your car wouldn't start. So then not only are you left with no money and a bunch of sunk costs, you're left with the emotional hit of like, I really tried. I really did the best I could, and it was just bad luck. We talked about whiskey last time, and Brian Fields says his favorite whiskey is Sexton. I don't know if I can get that here. North Carolina has an alcoholic beverage control board, and basically we live in North Korea. I mean, without all the horrible oppression, but whiskey-wise, it's North Korea around here. So I don't know if I can get Sexton. I've looked it up, and apparently it's an Irish whiskey, and they have this bizarre slogan: if you have a single life, drink single malt. Does that mean you can't drink it if you're married? Is it so good you would get a divorce to drink this whiskey? Shipping is only available in the continental US, excluding the following states, blah, 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 North Carolina, blah, 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 blah. Howard on the last video when I was in the river, he says, short and sweet, the video, not you. Now, sir, I'm gonna take a little bit of it, because yes, it's true. It is true that I am of average height. However, who are you to say that I am not sweet? All you guys see is the bitching persona. You don't see the vulnerable, positive, radiating, good vibe. Okay, yeah, you're right. But seriously, Howard, why don't you make videos, sir? I would love to see an Howard video. After all these years, I would really appreciate an Howard. Let's test our sweetness together. That's the, I don't even want to say that. Stephen Pearson asks Gribbs, whatever happened to the bothy or the stick fort or whatever you call it? Any plans to return to it? So it's still out there. What happened was, I had this patch of woods, and by I mean I was trespassing on a patch of woods, and I mean, no one told me to leave. There's no signs. It's kind of like open, there's just some woods that no one wants to claim, because on one boundary of the woods, there is a giant Duke Energy substation. And so nobody wants to build a big designer house next to the substation. So there's this area around the substation where the property value is depressed, and that's what's left for people like me to enjoy the woods on. And however, what sucks is that even then, every now and then, Duke Energy comes through and they cut everything down, and you know, because they've got rights of way that they have to protect. And if you want electricity to make videos, then you have to deal with that. That's part of modern life, is that these areas, the green spaces that are adjacent to us, are constantly under threat. So I built the bothy in late 2016, I believe, because it was originally, for those of you just tuning in, the background is, I built it to originally serve as a bird photography blind, because I didn't know what I was doing with myself. I was adrift creatively because I was so disillusioned by what was happening in the world at the time. Wasn't that cute? And I was really disillusioned, and I was like, I'm just gonna go out in the woods and find things to do. And one of the things I found, I bought a cheap long lens, and I was like, I'm gonna sit here in this blind that I built out of sticks and take pictures of birds. And I put up bird feeders and peanut butter on pine cones and stuff. And the birds came and I took pictures, and I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever done. But I had built this really cool structure. And as I became more attuned to the woods, it sort of became the locus, the center, my base of operations for all the stuff I was doing, practicing bushcraft skills and stuff like that. And so it appeared in a lot of videos a while back, many years ago. So to bring you up to date, now the right of way has been cut and recut so that there's really only like maybe 20 yards between the bothy and a giant open field full of Duke Energy workers in a substation. So it doesn't feel like it used to. It doesn't have that private feeling. I haven't been out there in a long time because during the summer, it's not worth it. Like getting to the place isn't worth it. If I'm gonna go out in the woods in the summer, I would rather go drive somewhere and fish, because I can drive somewhere quicker than I can hack my way through all the overgrowth to get to where the bothy is. Now the bothy itself doesn't really get overgrown. But I should go out there. I should go check it out. It's kind of depressing because I did work hard on it. There we go. Back to the hard work. I worked hard on it, but it's made of sticks, so it entropy happens and it just kind of sinks into the ground. But I've kind of let it go. I've emotionally moved on in my woods endeavors. But it would be fun. We'll do a little return video, I think. Timber Drifter, if you are watching, I sent you an email. Don't worry about it. But did they ever find the kid? The kid that disappeared into the woods? I really want to know. Finally, Gamecock Piper, Ass Gribs, Field Trip, because my last video was called Field Trip. Time for you to plan a pipe show trip. Muletown is basically next door. Will you consider going next March? Gamecock Piper is in South Carolina, hence the Gamecocks, but for everyone else, let's talk about how North Carolina and Tennessee work geographically. Yes, it seems like it would be right next door, but it's actually like 10 hours away. The two like longest states. You can drive across the state north to south in like half an hour, but to get across the state, you've got to buy a VW bus and be 20 years old and not have a place to live. So I don't plan to go to Muletown. By the way, I looked up the pictures of Muletown, and it's a little bigger than my garage. How many pipes can you fit in one pipe show? Okay, all right, let's be serious here. I would love to attend Muletown. And I'm not saying no. I'm not saying I'm not open to it, but I am saying I would have to get a hotel. I would have to drive my car. I would have to not have a gastrointestinal virus. So you don't want to plan ahead, because what if you have a gastrointestinal virus? What if, when you have a child in the school system, everything that you plan becomes contingent on whether or not you're pooping blood? I couldn't figure out any way to fly there and stay for less than $1,000, and if I drove, then it's like, it's the extra time, like, can't bring my kid to Nashville for the other thing is, there's a lot of things I would like to see in Nashville. I would love to do this, but I just don't think it's in the cards. Plus, let's be honest, do you really want, after what we've talked about today, do you want me to show up at the Muletown Pipe Show and give whatever disease I'm carrying to everyone there? I think this would be a great bit, actually. I'll wear a GoPro on my head, and then I'll I'll really play up the gastro bug thing, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, let me try that pipe. Yeah, it's got a good, really like the way it hangs in the mouth. Here, you try it. Seriously though, if anybody knows of any closer pipe shows, I looked up Briar Report. Is Briar Report still which one of you tobacco addicted degenerates out there runs Briar Report? I can't remember who it is, because I noticed that my name has been removed from the YTPC list. I was on a hiatus for a while, I understand. That's okay, no hard feelings. Long story short, I would love to attend any piping events, but y'all got to keep me posted on anything that happens closer than 5.5 hours away, which is how far Nashville is. That is it for this week. We are done here. You are excused. You may go about your day. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, as always. And it's Halloween, right? It's Halloween. So you know what's going to happen on Tuesday. There's going to be a video release. It's coming up. Patrons have already seen it, by the way. Video release is coming up. I worked hard on it. It's a good story, I think. I'm telling a ghost story, basically. And then the reason I didn't tell you what tobacco I'm smoking is going to be revealed soon. There's more stuff coming up. Thank you so much for watching. I think that's it. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.